Hi, I'm Jennifer Donley and welcome to Mindful Art Journaling. Today I'm going to be teaching you a pattern, a slow drawing pattern that's called the daisy pattern. That's what I like to call it, and you'll see why in just a minute. But what I like to do with this pattern is take some time to draw very slowly, to relax, to take some deep breaths, to just feel comfortable in my space and relax my arms, neck, shoulder, and then start to draw. So what I'm going to do right now is switch my camera over so that I can demonstrate this pattern for you. And then I'm going to show you some ways that you can expand on this project by adding some slow drawing painting, some meditative painting, and using some other materials to create the same pattern, but with different sizes and with different consistencies. Okay, so here is the slow drawing pattern, the daisy pattern. And as you can see, this is a peekaboo right here cut into the next page. Always prepare your next page so that some color is there waiting for you to be creative. But what I want you to see, and if I'll hold this up closer so that you can see these tiny little daisies. And if you look closely, you'll see that they are created, these little ones with a micron pen. This is where we're going to start. And they're about the size of a kernel of rice. And they just go around in a circle, nice and slow. So we're going to start there. What I'm going to do is just relax, take some deep breaths, get in a comfortable position, and then I'm going to turn the music up so that you can hear it. And I'm going to practice this pattern for a little while. Feel free to join in and practice with me at the same time. Okay, so as you can see, I've got tiny little places where this started right here. And you can see how I've started to fill the page right here, all the way through. So you can see the pattern in other places where I've chosen to use other media. I've used some paint. This is some collage that's cut out of here, the peekaboo. And then I've started to go bigger with some different materials. So this is a fun thing that you might want to try with some gel pens. I've got all different colors of gel pens here. So maybe I'll just add this so that you can see what it looks like with the gel pen. And then you can go in and you can start to fill up some of these patterns. So feel free to be creative, to use any pattern that is really kind of speaking to you with this. I like to kind of concentrate on the one. You can see I started this page with some slow drawing lines, but I'm going to go in now and do some of the pattern with my pink gel pen in just a couple of areas. And then we'll move on to something else. So I'm just filling in some of these spaces here with my pattern. I like to do about 5 petals, but you can always do more than that. You can add more than that. If you take a light gel pen and you go over a darker background, it sometimes takes a minute for it to show up as it dries, but it will show up. But adding the different media and the different colors just adds more interest to your page. It's also fun to take your gel pens and actually fill in some of the patterns. You can see where I did that here. And just color in some of these petals. This gives your pattern a different look. So you get the idea. You can see where it's starting to dry down here. So what I want to show you now is how to use different media. So we're going to use these Ecoline or Ecoline, however you want to say it, watercolor brush pens. And I'm just going to use one brush stroke per petal. And you can see where I did this earlier and then added some water to it. So I'm just going to go over top of that. It's nice to create layers. You see how when you do different colors and different sizes, it just gives the composition just more interest. So I have lots of layers, lots of things happening here. So far, I've demonstrated the micron pen, the gel pen, and then the watercolor brush pens. So I'm just going to take a little bit of water and go over top of these watercolor marks that I made with our slow drawing pattern. And when you do that, they start to fade into the background. Now, I could add a lot of water and they would basically disappear, but I really don't want to do that. I want you to be able to see them. You don't have to add any water at all. You can let them just stay. Okay, so let's experiment now with making this daisy pattern using only a paintbrush and some paint. So there are different sizes. So I'm going to start with the smaller brush, then I'm going to go to a medium size, and then a larger brush, and then I'm going to go back and forth with it a little bit just to show you some interesting techniques and things that you can use. So I'm just going to add a little bit of paint here. On my palette, I'm using a blue and a dark blue. And then I've got some white high flow acrylic that I'm going to put on my palette as well. Okay, So I'm going to start with the small brush stroke first, using the darker blue. One brush stroke per petal. Don't be afraid to overlap something you've already done. I think by adding this blue in here, it's just a nice contrast. Now I'm going to move to my medium-sized brush, staying with the blue. See the thickness in the petals? Makes a difference. I'm using these rounded, pointed brushes. I'm going to go over top with this one that I did earlier. And finally, the bigger brush. And just press down and then lift up. And if you don't reload your brush, then you get a variation in color. It starts with the darker and it gets progressively lighter. So I've got quite the garden going here. I think one more big one up in this area for now. And then I want to show you one other thing. Here we go. Now I'm going to do one more that I want to show you something a little different. So I'm going to start with the dark blue. And I'm going to make one big one up here with the dark blue. I've got my brush loaded pretty good here. I want this to be relatively dark. Now I'm going to go over top of it with my light blue. And I'm going to use my medium-sized brush. Let's start back up here. And again, this is a slow, meditative painting. There. And one more time. Only this time I'm going to use my even smaller brush, and I'm going to use the white high flow acrylic. Starting in the exact same place. Yeah. Just another variation on a really fun pattern. So I'm going to take some of the white and go back and some of these that I made earlier. So there we have it. One pattern interpreted lots of different ways, starting with the micron pen and then moving to a gel pen and then moving to some acrylic paint with some various size brushes. We also have a little collage on this page. So my next step would be to let everything dry. And then I will go in with another color paint and really just keep what speaks to me and paint over the rest of it. That is the 80-20, sometimes a little more 70-30 rule that really lets us decide what's important, what's a keeper, and then we can finish it from there. So that's it. I hope that you will try this on your own. I hope that you will let your creative juices run wild and that you will find lots of fun things to do with the daisy pattern. See you next week.